I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to make it here today. I want to promise you three things. Say three things. Number one, you must take copious notes, okay? Because a lot of things I'm going to say today is not in the training. Number two, you need to remember that you need to participate. I'm one of those trainers. I don't come in and just Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. No, I don't do that. What I do is I get engaged the audience. And that's why they keep bringing me back here, okay? And number three, you have to have the desire to learn how to be persuasive within your organization, persuasive with your family, persuasive with your colleagues, and begin to utilize that persuasion to do great things within your organization. Are you ready to do that? Yes. Oh, I got one person. Well, thank you, Laura. I heard you. I heard you. And one thing for those that's on Zoom, those that are streaming, it's for you too. So please have your questions at the end. I'll try to keep it to 30 minutes as much as possible. Let's get into it. Real quick, when you look at this screen here, yes, that's me, and you see all these credentials. You see all these things, certified coach, communication trainer. Who knows John Maxwell out there? Anybody? Isn't that a great guy? That is one of my favorite people. Well, I lost my, well, anyway, but anyway, it's back. It's back. But John Maxwell's one of my favorite people. That's one of my proteges that I work for. I'm part of his team and things of that nature. But what I really want you to see on here, even though I'm a coach, trainer, speaker, emotional intelligence coach, trainer, and all that, all these great things for C-suite, for government, for private industry, I do it for all of the people. However, I want you to look at that last bullet. Say it out loud. What did that last bullet say? It's good. You got it. I didn't even say anything. You still got it. Empowerment speaker. You got to realize, when we talk about soft skills, you heard about soft skills, right? Everybody heard of soft skills. I'm changing the paradigm on that word. Because when we talk about soft skills, it makes it sound soft, don't it? But when you call it empowerment skills expert, it's totally different. It's totally different. Because you have to realize this training, as well as all my other trainings on leadership, communication, lifestyle living and things like that, all my trainings is all about soft skills, coaching, mentorship. Go to my website, www.kmcempowerment.com. You'll see what I do. But nonetheless, I think it's so critical for us as project management professionals to understand that your soft skills is what's needed most right now. We know what's going on in the climate. Some may love it, some may not. But nonetheless, you need to show up to be the best you can be. All right, are you ready for that? Let's jump right into it. It says here, what you're going to learn today. You're going to understand the difference between persuasion, and you're going to understand the difference between manipulation and influence. That's the one thing we're going to talk about. We're going to touch on that really quick. And then you're going to understand persuasion principles, and we have 5 of those. Actually, there's 6, and I might touch on the 6th one, but I'm going to stick to the 5 for right now. And then we're going to discover how to craft compelling messages. And I may have a couple of people come up and do an example here too as well. And then we're going to uncover the importance of credibility and trust. And then we're going to understand the power of storytelling. You have to understand, when we listened to the gentleman this morning, when he was giving his training this morning, he touched on storytelling just a little bit there when I was hearing him speak. Discover how to overcome resistance. Now, how many of you have worked on projects? I mean, first of all, let me ask, how many project management professionals are in here first? Oh, wow. Okay, that's why we're here. So you came into situations where you had resistance, didn't you, in your project? We're going to talk about that. I don't know why this keeps coming off, sir. That's the resistance. That is the resistance. But nonetheless, guess what? When you know your subject, can you do it with the screen or not, right? You can do it without. All right, there we go. Let's go on. Okay, now before we get into this, I don't want to get into this right now, but I want to pose a question. I'm going to ask Bill to have a couple of you answer this question, okay? Are you ready for the question? All right, let's go into it. The question is, what is the most persuasive piece of communication you have ever encountered recently? What made it effective for you? I'll repeat it. What is the most persuasive piece of communication you have ever encountered recently, and what made it effective for you? Let's get one of the bold people. I've got one back here on the left. Go ahead.
It's a political example, but
Please.
Bernie Sanders and AOC, because they had all those crowds, right? They had 20, 35,000 people listening to them, and that was persuasive.
So the crowd size made it persuasive for you. Anybody else? Let me get a couple others.
So I'm in a project developing an image analysis tool, let's say, and we've had a lot of data that we've been using to measure the success of that instrument, and then finally someone stood up in front of an image and actually showed what they liked about that image, and it took people away from some of the numbers that we had been trying to crunch and compare, and really had people understand exactly what we were going for.
Very nice, very nice. So we had one person saw the crowd. So that means based on someone coming to that session, that crowd with Bernie Sanders and AOC, they must have had a compelling message. Am I correct? And then what you're talking about, you had actually facts, right? Is that correct? There were some facts, and they illustrated the facts on the screen that made it really compelling for you. Anybody else want to share? Right here, we got somebody right up front. Or we got somebody online, then we go to the front.
Marianne wants to know how about recognized humanity of a situation.
Say again?
Recognized humanity of a situation.
Yes, yes. See, and when we talk about the humanity of the situation, now you're talking about the empathy. It made you felt a certain way, your feelings. Let's go to this person. Somebody had their hand. Raise your hand one more time, please. Thank you so much, Zoom. My twin just walked in, guys. Did you see my twin over here?
For me, the diagram, visual, interactive, the diagram, you can say that.
Say it one more time, please.
So the more persuasive to have the interactive diagrams and the workflow which can attract the people to understand and communicate.
Thank you so much. That interaction and to make the background similarity was able to make them connect. So that's all. Thank you so much for everybody that participated with that. And the reason why I pose that question is simply because when we talk about what is the difference between persuasion, we have to understand the action or fact of persuading someone, of being persuaded to do or believe into something. Now, when we talk about persuasion, that is something that is really honest and upfront. You're not trying to do anything, any hidden agenda. You're really trying to persuade someone in a positive way. However, when we get into manipulation, it's the act of manipulating someone for something that's normally negative in some form or fashion. Now, we think about often when we talk about someone that's manipulating you, sometimes people think, any car salesman's in here first? Let me ask that question. We're not going to go there. Okay, but sometimes you may have that feeling of angst when someone is trying to sell you something, and it make you have a certain feeling within your quiver that, no, that's not correct. But when we talk about influence, it's the capacity to have an effect on it, or based on your character, your development, or your behavior, or something that may affect that person. Now, when we talk about here with influence, I said yesterday in one of my trainings I did yesterday, I was talking about leadership. Who was in my training yesterday by show of hand? All right, what did I say? Leadership is what? Influence. Nothing more, nothing less. So when you're influencing someone, it is true. It is nothing more, nothing less. However, sometimes even with influence, you can influence someone positively or negatively, okay? That's critically important. I want to stay there for a second. Just saying when we talk about persuasion, you can persuade someone positively or negatively. I like to relate that similar to, I like to do this one training where I talk about being a thermometer and being a thermostat. Anybody know the difference between a thermometer and thermostat? Thermometer takes the temperature, right? Like I can come in this room and everybody can be, really not feeling a little downtrodden, not feeling all that great. So it's kind of cold, right? But when I get in here, I may take on that same persona because everyone feels that way. But when you are a thermostat, you set the temperature. You set the temperature of the room. You set how things are going to happen. It could come in here cold, people can be cold, and you come in here, you make it hot simply by the way you show up. Guess what I am? What's that? I'm a thermostat. Come on, Andrew. He know I'm a thermostat, period. I'm going to set the temperature and the tone of the room when I walk in a room. However, when you talk about being persuasive or being someone that's influential, you still can have a positive or negative effect. The same way I'm a thermostat, I could walk in a room and have a negative attitude. You see how my posture totally changed? My look on my face totally changed? So we need to always remember when we're talking about persuasion, we're talking about influencing, we're talking about project management, we're working with teams and groups. You need to have that persona of a thermostat, all right? What I say? I am a what? I'm a thermostat, so I'm gonna make it happen regardless. So here we go. We're gonna talk about the 5 modes of persuasion. The first mode of persuasion is called the ethos. 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 Anybody know what ethos means? By show of hands. What ethos mean? Just shout it out. Your character, your credentials, how you show up. One thing, when I remember I had that one slide and I showed all those things I was doing, that was part of my ethos. And he mentioned some of my ethos when Bill introduced me. He was talking about how many years I've been doing this, how long I had my business. Been in my business for 8 years, but I've been coaching and training for over 35 years. That's my ethos, how I work with senior executives, how I work with government, private industry, nonprofit, all various different agencies to help provide service to them on empowerment training, okay? That was my ethos. But also when we talk about ethos, it really demonstrates your character and how your integrity is. It demonstrates your honesty, fairness, and ethical behavior. Also, when you talk about ethos, you're really looking at your reputation, your reliability, because your ethos precedes you. If you come in a room and you carry on a certain way and it doesn't in alignment with your ethos, it's not a good thing for you or anyone else. And then also the experience and qualifications part of your ethos, as I mentioned earlier. And then let's talk a little bit about pathos. Pathos. And pathos, let me just tell you, anybody know what pathos is first? Let me ask that question. Oh, goodness, somebody know all about it. Don't be ashamed. Just give her a round of applause because she ain't answer these questions. She know what ethos is, credibility, and you know what pathos is. And the pathos, what is it? Just shout it out. Yes, your passion, your drive. And then also, it's not even going there. And then also, let's give her a round of applause for that because she had it right. And then not only pathos, we have something called logos. Raise your hand. You know what logos is too. Okay. It's working out? All right. So thank you. But we have the ethos. Pathos, which is emotional appeal. Emotional appeal. That's like she said. And then also we have logos, which is logical appeal. And we're going to talk more. I'm going to give you a little story so you can really blend all these together. And then we have Kairos. I love this one. Kairos, when we talk about Kairos, we're talking about the timeliness of what you say. Now, we're talking about being persuasive. As project managers, as husbands and wives, as significant others, whether we're working in an organization or in a community, you still need these qualities to be persuasive. And then last, we have Telos. Telos. Now, there's one more called Mythos, where you basically look at the culture of individuals. You understand their culture a little more deeper. I don't want to go through everything, but you understand the culture of individuals. In other words, if I was coming to this training on today, what I would do is I would let's say, who's represented in the room? Who's represented in the room by different backgrounds, culture, and things of that nature? And then I'm able to speak to it, and I speak to it in a way that it really blends everyone in. We're all inclusive. That's when you talk about mythos. But here, I'm going to tell you a quick story. The story is called $10 million. Say $10 million. $10 million. This is the $10 million story. There was a project manager. She was a lead project manager. Her name is Yolanda. And Yolanda had a project that was going very smoothly. Everything was going great. And they were working on a new system in order for it to get developed. And they were right at the cuspice where they were about to go to the next phase. But she was working with a cross-functional staff of stakeholders. And one was a senior executive by the name, I'm just going to give him any name. I'm going to call him X. Yeah, X. And when the stakeholder X, he said, we got right down at the 11th hour. We all been there as project managers, right? When you get to the 11th hour and then we get scope creep. You know what scope creep is? The first thing X says, I don't think we really need this, but we want this. So maybe we should scrap this portion of it. Now, they right at the end of the project. So what Yolanda did was she could have went back and forth on, her specs and things of that nature with him, but it wouldn't have worked at that time. It wouldn't work for her. So what she did was she was persuasive. She used the power of persuasion in order to get him to think differently. So what Yolanda did was, the first thing she did was, she told him her ethos by talking about her credibility, how she had background working on various different projects similar to this, and she talked about the success rate of it. And then after she did that, she went into her pathos. She worked to his emotional appeal by talking about how this is really affecting our customers and the value that this will add to our customers if we move forward with this $10 million pump into the economy. And then she went into her logos, where she looked at the logical appeal. Now, when we talk about logical appeal, it's bigger than just emotion at this point. It's bigger than credibility. But when she went into the when she went into the logical appeal, she had to give facts, figures, data, specifics in order to help them understand the importance of what she's doing and what are the payoff in it. Because if we move to this position, we move with this project, we're going to have a return on investment of over $5 million per year within 5 years. And then she went into the Kairos. When she was talking to him, not only did she talk about the various three, but she also talked about the Kairos, and she said, right now is the time we need to do it because we just had a bad rating on the project already. So this is a critical time for us to make this change. And then last but not least, she went into the Telos. And at Telos, she really bought into the mission statement of the organization. We have valued customers out there who are really waiting on us to come forth with a beautiful project. And this project is something that will be a mainstay for our organization if we move forward right now. So needless to say, by her having a compelling case, using the power of persuasion, guess what X did, y'all? He said, yes, go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and make sure we get that $10 million so we can move on with the project. So what I'm telling you that story is just to give you a little background on how important the power of persuasion is, whether you're talking about at home, whether you're talking about out there in the world, but it really is helpful within your organization. I hope they help. Did it help anyone out there? Connecting the dots? All right, let's go on. Now, when we look at ethos, the credibility, I mentioned earlier that ethos refers to the credibility and ethical appeal of the speaker. It involves convincing the audience of the speakers of reliability, authority, and trustworthiness. But also, when we talk about ethos, we got to understand that you have to realize you need to understand how to craft messages when you talk about your ethos. Remember how on my slide I had all the different things I'm part of, what I do, and also how to develop credibility and trust by telling you the specifics that I've done in the past, and then understand the power of storytelling, just like I told it. Did you enjoy my story? All right, here we go. And then also overcoming resistance. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. And then let's talk about pathos. Pathos is one of those things that involves appealing to the audience emotions to elicit feelings such as fear, joy, empathy that will lead them to support a position or action. When I gave you that story, you see how she was talking to him and let him know about the things that was going on within the organization to get X to begin to think about a little more deeper as to what the value is for what she was doing. She was trying to touch on his emotion. And she didn't do it in a way that she was being manipulative. She did it in a way that she wanted him to understand the true intent of why this is important to the organization. Let's go to logos. Logos, it refers to a logical appeal of the argument, using facts, data, reasoning, and to persuade the audience. And what I'm talking about here, many times as project managers, we have a lot of people that are high C. Anybody know about DISC out there? DISC? Okay, so you know that, a D, they're very direct. You know what the I is. They're very, not only inclusive, but they're very gregarious and things of that nature. S is more sensitive and steady, and then a C is more compliant. But a lot of times with project managers, okay, I'm not trying to pick on you. How many out there, for those that raised their hand, how many are C's? Okay, we got one. How many are D's? How many are D's? Okay, we got some more D's out there, okay. So many times when we talk about that, a lot of times that logical comes in as well when you talk about project managers. You want to know the facts. You want to know the details. You want to see how the connecting of the dots really come to play. Let's go on. Or Kairos, like I said, this is one of my favorite ones. The Kairos involves the timeliness of the message, ensuring that the argument is presented at the most opportune moment. How many of you have been working on a project before and you knew that everything wasn't really going exactly as you planned, but there was an opportunity for you to make a change that would really drastically affect the trajectory of the project. How many have been there before in that? Yeah, we all been there. But did you actually make that decision in order to change the trajectory? That's Kairos. You have to make that decision in order to make that trajectory go in the direction you want it to go in. All right? Oh, I'm gonna stop here real quick. Anybody, have you been liking this training so far, even with the mess up on the slides? Have you been liking the training? Give me a round of applause. You've been liking it. Okay. All right. Hey, take a quick moment. Take about 30 seconds. Just take a picture of that, and you can answer that on your own time, and I'm going to move on because I've got a lot more I want to get through. Tell me when you got it. Everybody put your thumbs up when you tell me you got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'll take that. That's enough. That's enough. All right, here we go. Let's jump into it. Now, our last thing here is we're talking about telos. Telos, when we talk about telos, we're talking about the purpose. The purpose. And when we talk about telos, we have to understand that telos refers to the ultimate objective or purpose behind the action or argument or decision. What is the rationale? What is the why I am doing this? And sometimes you may, as a leader or as a project manager, you may have to ask yourself, what is the why? Have you ever done that before as working on a project? You have to ask, why am I really doing this? Has anyone ever used the 5 why theory? Yes, isn't that a powerful theory? And so for those that don't know what the 5 why theory is, let me get somebody to talk about the 5 why. Somebody that utilizes the 5 whys, go ahead. I think this young lady, she wants, right over here to your right. There we go. Because the 5 why you need to know about. It seemed like the room, a lot of people didn't know about that. So that's a good one to understand a little more in depth. And tell me how effective it was for you.
It's a tool you can use to get to the real root cause of either an issue you're having or a goal or an objective. And I actually just used it recently. We had a requirements issue with one of my projects and we missed something and found out about it at the 11th hour. And we used the 5 whys to show that it wasn't just one person's fault. It was a series of small failures, but also opportunities for improvement in the future that just they all kind of combined together to one big thing. So we were able to show that 1, it wasn't just one person's fault. And so they weren't the fall guy. And 2, that there were lots of opportunities for us to improve in the future.
Very nice, very nice. Give a round of applause. Anybody else want to chime in on a why? We got one other person right behind you.
We used it for in our lessons learned session, and we were going through an issue that we had with the project, and we just kept saying, we took that one thing and we kept saying, why did it happen? And then why? And then why? And then we had to drill down. It was called like our root cause analysis.
Yes, it
is.
is.
To why something happened.
Thank you so much. Give her a round of applause too. See, it is so powerful to do that methodology, because when you ask yourself why, by the time you get to the 5th why, you have the answer. You have the answer as to what is the true problem that you need to resolve. And sometimes it can be with you. And we have to realize when you use that why type of methodology, you have to understand that you can use that as a team. You can use that as an individual, because I use it many times just with myself. Why am I doing what I'm doing? But here we go. But let's talk about here. Let me stay here for a couple of seconds. Are you enjoying this training about this? I hope you're getting something out of it. All right. I want to really get into, when we talk about telos, you really clarify and define the purpose and what is the ultimate goal that you want to achieve. You also align action with objectives to ensure that your actions and decisions consistently reflect the end goal for your organization. And also you communicate the purpose effectively when you utilize that, and to help the audience understand how it ties to the broader goals and why it matters. That's what we're talking about here. But there are some more things this training I'm giving you right now is very high level, okay? Because it's a more in-depth training, it's a half-day training that I provide. Thank you. But I want to talk about, within this training, we also talk about the 10 persuasive communication techniques. The 10 persuasive communication techniques. And I've been utilizing some of these techniques as I've been speaking to you today. Many of the things that we talked about here, the 5 modes of persuasion, I utilize in this room today. And then also, I want to talk about active listening, how important that is. And I know my time has come to give me the cards to stop. But active listening is another mode that's good to use. And also being clear and concise on your messaging is critically important too. Because if you're using these techniques, these 5 modes of persuasion, if you're not clear and it's ambiguous, guess what? People are not going to get the message. They're going to lose sight of it. And also, emotional intelligence is critically important. Say it with me. Emotional intelligence is critically important. So you need to remember to have self-awareness. You also need to remember to have self-regulation, because there's going to be times there's going to be heated discussion that you want to persuade someone, but you need to regulate yourself in order to get your message across. Also, your motivation, having empathy for those that you're speaking to in the room. And last but not least, your social skills. How are you showing up? Remember I talked about the thermostat and what? The thermometer? Yeah, you need to remember that as well. But one skill I really want to harness right now, I need one male and one female volunteer to come up here for me. And I'm just going to do this quick demonstration. See, one thing we need to remember when we talk about the art of persuasion, whether in project management or anything that you're doing in life, there's a such thing called body language. Say it with me, body language. That's critically important. I've been using some of that techniques since I've been standing here. When you see me standing like this, I'm using my body language to speak. And I want you both to do something for me. I want you, Allison, to just stand like this. And then I want you to put your hands like this. Now, who looks more persuasive like this? Anyone says on the right? Raise your hand if you built the person on the right. Who says the person on the left? Raise your hand. All right, now let's do something a little different. Now I want you to I want you to go ahead and I want you just to do something like hands behind your back. There you go, hands behind your back. Now you hold your hands like this, like you're pointing out there to the audience. Who looks more persuasive? The person on the left, Allison or Bassan? Very nice. Now, I want to tell you something really quick. I'm going to use them both as an example. When we talk about the power of persuasion, we have to understand there's something called the influence zone. Say it with me, influence zone. And the influence zone, I'm just going to use an example, is from her eyes to her belly button. Same for him. His eyes to his belly button. So anytime you hold your hands like this, or when you're speaking, you stay within this zone, you're influencing. If you're going up here, hey, what's wrong with that guy? If you're down here, what this mean? But if you stay like this when you're speaking, and then when you talk, you just may use your hand there, you may point out, emphasize certain things, you are influencing people. But if you're down here or you're up here, you're coming with a bad posture, it means so much different. So have your head back, your shoulders back. There we go, let's do it. Head back, shoulders back, looking straight people in the eye. And if you're uncomfortable, you look over their heads just a little bit. And then you go ahead and that's how you lead a meeting. All right, so give them a round of applause. They are influencing. Did anyone learn anything from that? All right, here we go. So what you learned today, you learned the difference between persuasion, manipulation, and influence, the importance of credibility and trust, and you also learned the power of storytelling. When we talk about credibility and trust, you have to understand. I talked about this yesterday, everyone. I want you to talk about, yesterday I called it the quadruple factor of a connection. All right, but today I'm gonna call it the X factor of connection, all right? The X factor connection is, say it with me, the first one is no, write it down because it's not in the training. The next one, people need to know you, know what you're about, know what you're thinking, what's valuable to you. You have to do that. In order for people to know you, got to have conversations with people. Open yourself up. And then also number two is they need to like you. You need to be likable, everyone. You can't come in there with a frown on your face every single day. I don't care what's going on in the city or in the climate. Number three is they need to value you. Not only value you, you must be able to add value to them and be able to feel that they're of value to you, okay? Are you hearing me out here? And then the last one, if you want to be a persuasive speaker, trainer, and things of that nature, you need to have trust. That's the X factor of communication, all right? I want to thank you for your time. My name is Kevin M. Coleman of KMC Empowerment.
Check out our website, pm.umd.edu, for incredible free professional development opportunities. There you can find courses, events, articles, and more. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with someone who might like it, because learning grows when we make it a conversation. See you in the next one.